technology to increase conversions, and some simple methods that you can adapt on day-to-day practice. Then I will have Martin Wyatt and Mike Porter from Legal Mentors, who will go in depth about how you can convert more inquiries, improve profitability, and build stronger relationships with your customers. Again, if you have any questions, please just fill them in and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. So before I go into 5 simple steps, you all probably know that more customers and us, we all spend more time online, whether it's on our mobile devices, tablets, computers, laptops. And 75% of online customers, they expect to be helped within 5 minutes because we don't have any patience anymore. We are used to getting information quick, and that's what we expect with every single provider that we come across. So 5 simple steps that you can do. 1 is build rapport and ask the right questions. We do tend to get busy on our day-to-day basis, and when a client or a potential client, they call us, rather than asking them a set of right questions to get the information out of them, we tend to answer their questions when they say, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Rather than asking the correct questions about, why are they buying? Are they selling a property as well? Are they doing a new build or old build? Or is there, joint purchase? Or are they selling, 2 single properties and buying 1 property together? So just like, those questions, and taking the time to build a relationship with the prospect as well, because this is a big transaction. They don't do it, on a daily basis. You deal with it on a daily basis from work side, as you are the expert in the field, not them. So, taking the time and getting excited with them when they give you a call, or ask you by an email or any mode of request. So asking the right questions so you can provide the right information and build that rapport, taking that time and listening. And the second one is respond quickly and accurately. This again, if client, let's say, gives you a phone call, you say, yes, I will get that to you before the end of the day. But then you put that on a sticky note or something, or in your book, but then you get busy the rest of the day and you don't get back till next day, maybe even midday. You're already lost their trust. You set expectations to get by end of the day, but you forget. And trust me, this does happen. We have done our mystery shop, and it happens more often than you would think. So respond quickly and accurately. Use systems, use technology, use your templates, so you're able to get back to the client before you even hang up the phone, so they can look at the quote or your information right when they still have you on the phone with them. And accurate information, so not just one number, but have it clear, price information as well as service information, so they can understand what exactly will they be paying for. If they get 3 quotes from 3 different law firms, one is just a big number and the other ones are still big numbers, but they're more defined, they would more likely to choose a firm that are defined costs, so they know what exactly they're paying for and there will be no surprises at the end. And service information, so they know how will you be communicating with them, how will you be answering their questions or answering their inquiries. Again, this is a big, property transactions are big transactions that consumers do. It's not, every day, it's 5 to 7 years. So, they are nervous, they're excited. So you need to be very clear. It's around not just the price, but around service side as well. The 4th one is follow up. That is quite big. Again, we tend to get busy in our day-to-day tasks. We forget to follow up, and that's very important. You're missing out on those opportunities. If you need to put a diary reminder in your Outlook, do that. Maybe have the email drafts ready in your folder, then you copy and paste and tailor it a little bit, but again, at least you're following up. And make sure you keep notes on each touch point. We tend to get very good at, after client converts, into your case management system, adding the notes, but not beforehand, when they're still at the prospect level. It's important that clients not repeating the same information again and again if they're talking to 2 different people at the firm, or 3. Let's say they call in, they speak to secretary, they repeat their entire information, then they get passed on to another fee earner where they ask them the same questions. So have some sort of a system in place where you're keeping all the notes. That way the client or the prospect, they know that you care, that you actually took time to invest in their case and understand their buying or selling transaction. The last one is asking for their business. I would say over 95% of the firms don't do that, especially the ones that we have surveyed and the ones that we targeted for our mystery shop as well. If you are confident in your services, if you know you can help the client and you believe in your product and your services, then there's no harm in asking them for your business, because that not only shows confidence in you, but it shows, that's, again, it's a big transaction. They know that they will be looked after because you care. You're the one who wants their business, not necessarily they're the one who needs a law firm to do their transaction. So that's the 5 simple steps. Building rapport, taking your time, and it's not like spending hours and hours talking to them, but taking that moment and listening to them, responding quickly and accurately, providing clear price and service information, follow up, keep notes on each touch point before it converts as well as after, and asking for their business. And now shortly, I will just do a short demo. I promise it won't take me longer than 5 minutes, and how within Perfect Portal you can do this automatically. So let's say a client generates a quote through your website. They'll still see the same form, but it'll be from your website. Or if a client calls you via phone, you're on the phone with the client, you're asking them, how did you find out about us, capturing the right information, then you're recording it in here. And make sure that while you're asking the client, you're asking them the right question, you're filling it in here, and you have your system set up so it makes it easier. Whoever is generating the quote, they're able to do it, not just take the information on a form and then pass it on to someone else. If you have different users, you can pick them here, different fee scales, because every firm has more than one fee scale. Then put the purchase price and how many buyers, freehold, leasehold. Let's put an address. Look up. And if they're, again, while you're asking, you can ask, are they selling a property? Are they remortgaging, so that you can get the right information across? Have the questions preset so it generates an accurate quote rather than just basic information. So while you're still on the phone with the client, this time you can ask more questions. You can create additional fee because you might realize, during your conversation that you might need to do some extra work. You can apply discount if it's a friend and family, a referral. And again, make it clear, whatever system you're using, have headings so the end client can see the different types of fees. Legal fee, additional fees, disbursements, government fees, they're usually the ones that are quite large, depending on the transaction. And then have reminders, have a system that you can automatically set up reminders, whether it's 12 hours, 24 hours, and the ones that you can add notes. So notes for if you're emailing it to the client, you might want to add a note for them as well, saying as per discussion, we will take care of this matter or whatever it is. Attach files, and then email the quote. Have your email templates so they're easy to read and branded. With our system, you can send it to more than one person, as well as attach other files. Some firms, they have buying and selling guides or additional services that it might include in there. So let's say that is sent. I will open up my email in here. That's through the website lead. Fantastic. There we go. So again, investing in your brand. Make sure your logo images are there so you stand out. A client no longer, they don't just get one quote, they're out there shopping. On average, they're getting 2 or more quotes, and that number has been increasing in the last 3 years. Make it easy for them to instruct you. So whatever it is, this is the first set. So, here, they don't need to wait till you open your firm to give you a call or respond to email. Make it easy for them to say, yes, I want to do business with you. Again, make it friendly so they can see your information. We help all the firms create their cover sheets and end sheets. And this is the quote, how it displays. Have your information, their details in here. Lay it out so they can print it and easy to see. Of course, your disclaimers and end sheet. Include a testimonial from one of your clients. This is from one of our clients from Perfect Portal, but have a testimonial out there, because nothing will help you sell than feedback from someone who already had experience with you. Have that information quickly sent to the client, rather than following up or sending them a brochure or sending them to your website for them to find the information. Give them that information so they can feel comfortable that if they choose to go with you, then they will be looked after. So let's say a client, they get this, they come home after work, they discuss it with their spouse, they click here to instruct. Again, you make this page as your own, however you like. Then you come to the office in the morning, and you will get an email saying so-and-so has accepted and instructed your firm. That it's not a legal acceptance yet. So what you would do is go back in here. Let me go in here. Go in here, you convert the quote, because now you will need more information. If you ask all the information at the beginning, they might not know when they're calling you. They might need to talk to someone. So this is the time where you collect their correspondent address. I'm not going to add it in, so I'm just going to say continue. Assign it to someone. So if you have more than one user, make sure you assign to the right person so it can be taken care of. If you just leave it unassigned, it might just get lost. And again, there's no point of getting new business if you won't be focusing on converting that business into cases. So conversion notes, again, notes are always good. It's good to write it on a notepad, but it's always good to see it so rest of the team and the firm can see all the notes. And converting and assigning. Sorry, my internet on this computer is a little bit slow. There we go. So from here, the client has instructed you, and it doesn't just stop there. What you need to do is, again, add contacts. There might be other side solicitor, estate agent, mortgage broker attached to it. So these are different key stages. You can put different timeline, different milestones that might work for your firm to see, to help you drive and measure the success of different cases. From here, you can add more reminders. You can have follow-up emails that you can schedule in. And once you can select how you want to communicate that key stage with different parties involved. So mortgage broker, estate agent, you want to send them an email or an SMS. Or you might, for a client, they have a mobile app that they can see the updates. So that's all within here to convert the clients. The other thing for the law firms that the system has is this quote list. So this will allow you to see how many quotes haven't been started, meaning there was an inquiry, but nothing has been sent. And this will help you figure out, what hasn't been touched for 5 days and what hasn't been touched more than 10 days. Again, you don't necessarily, if you're not using Perfect Portal, have some sort of a system where you can track all the quotes that you generate. Track, how many days has it been that you haven't heard from the client? Did you send any follow-up emails or follow-up calls? Just having that data and tracking to make sure that no opportunity gets missed. At least, you're doing your best and giving your firm that shot that the client has the opportunity to instruct. Because if you're not following up, another firm does, they will instruct that firm over you. And you'll be able to see, put a value to all of that missed opportunity when you're doing the review, whether it's monthly, quarterly, to see, okay, we didn't follow up with 10 quotes. What does that add up to the value, the pound value, the missed opportunity? And again, generate reports. It's always keeping track on what's going on. And if you're sending out emails, keep track of, you know, your open rates on emails as well, and chase emails. So, because, you know, you might have an error in the email address. That does happen, spelling error. Sometimes it bounces back. Sometimes it might be just going to a different email address that might not be for your client. Chase emails, reminders, you know, have diary reminders, but also look at the reminders. So if you're with our system, you can have all the reminders as a tile. So you can see, okay, I need to do these. Like, clearly I haven't been doing my reminders over here, but you can see that, you know, those are overdue, and you can act on those reminders and follow up with the clients. That is it from my end. And now I will introduce Mike Porter and Martin Wyatt here, directors of Legal Mentors, and they're both specialists in helping solicitors to gain more business. They have been doing this for over how many years now?
Over 10 years.
Over 10 years. And today they will explain how they can achieve the success in minutes with the law firms. Mike's background is in banking and Martin's is in sales and marketing. And they will assure that they were, over the 10 years, they have helped hundreds of law firms, legal firms, team members to grow their business with no extra expenditure on marketing. So here it is. Pass it on.
Okay. Thank you, Setu. Thank you.
Thank you.
And good morning, everyone. It's interesting to see what you've been saying there about the systems, and it's about technology, but it's also about people responding, you know, in a sort of human way and having a conversation with their prospective clients. And it makes all the difference. And in the main, we find that law firms haven't trained their team in any way to handle the sort of soft skills and the personal contact that is necessary, you've been talking about. So we're going to concentrate today on how to convert more phone inquiries, and it's backed up obviously by Perfect Portal in terms of being able to gather information, get it back when you need it, track it, do follow-ups and so forth. So it's very complementary, but this is more about the human interaction, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, the inquiries that come via the telephone, which you will still receive even if you're using Perfect Portal. A number of inquiries will come through the telephone still, and they're very important to you.
So the phone rings. It is an opportunity, and we've seen from the screens from Perfect Portal how if you monitor it, you can sometimes see how many leads aren't being converted. Now, why is that? Well, very often we should explain that as part of our business, law firms who ask us to help them with workshops to improve this performance will ask us to do mystery shopping as well, and we'll talk to you about the results of that in a minute or two of a recent example. But the impression that we get when with the average law firm when we phone up is that it's a bit of a nuisance. You know, the call comes in, I'm busy, I'll get rid of it as soon as I can. You've paid money in one way or another in marketing to get the call coming in. Now, most firms who've got something to sell would give their eye teeth for people to phone them up, pre-qualified people with needs to phone them up, and they're delighted to follow it up. With many law firms, it just seems that it's just a bit of a nuisance, and it isn't handled as a real, because if you convert that lead, it means money, and money means
salaries.
So, yeah, that's quite important.
Yeah. Satisfied clients and salaries. Yes.
And it's yours to win or lose. And if we just click there, I've said it's gold dust. You know, that's what it is, because if you don't convert these leads, you don't get any business.
No.
So it's it's more important to consider it in this way, so that you're prepared to spend some time and money in handling it properly. And it's really a process of just helping people decide.
Absolutely, yes. So, they've got choice. They've got choice of having looked at the website. They'll phone one or two firms to see, and usually they ask one question because they don't know what else to ask, and that is, how much will it cost? I'm looking to buy a property, sell a property, whatever it is, but I want to know the cost. And most firms just seem to, and mystery shopping bears this out, and we've found hundreds of firms, just bear this out. People quickly answer that single question of price. And that's their only selling point.
And you're missing the opportunity. If most firms just talk about the cost, and you decide that you're going to talk about your quality and how good you are at doing the job, and the fact that you've got the area, and as Santa was saying, create some rapport, then you'll be that much different, and it gives people the opportunity to say, I chose them because, well, they seem nice people. So it's a question of getting the conversation right. Now, as we've said, we do a lot of mystery shopping, and we actually did an exercise last week on a group of people. We'll show you the response to that in a moment or two, but here's what it's like. We're just going to role play for a moment or two what it's like for a typical response to someone who's phoning a law firm. Good afternoon, XYZ solicitors, can I help you?
Oh, hello. I'm calling to see if I can get a quote for some conveyancing work. Do you do that sort of thing?
We do, yes. Is it a purchase or sale?
It's a purchase.
Where is it?
It's near Newtown.
Oh, what's your name, please?
Yes, of course. It's Peter Jones.
All right. Have you used this before?
No, I haven't.
All right, bear with me. I'll try and put you through. Then there's a silence for about 40 seconds.
Sometimes there's music, sometimes there's not music.
Anyway, we'll cut that short because we would like to get on, but 40 seconds just seems like an eternity when you're hanging on. Hello?
Oh, hello. I was inquiring about some conveyancing costs.
Okay, I can do that for you. Is it a sale or a purchase?
It's for a purchase.
What was the name?
It is Peter Jones.
Okay. Is it freehold or leasehold?
It's freehold.
Will there be a mortgage?
Yes, there will be.
Okay. Now, let's have your email address.
Certainly. But why would you need that?
Well, I'll email the quote over.
Oh, okay. It's peter.jones@gmail.com.
All right. And finally, what's the purchase price?
It's 540,000.
540,000. Fine. What I'll do is email a quote over setting out our fees and the usual disbursements, and you'll receive it probably this afternoon. Okay.
Well, I suppose so. Yes. Okay.
Do let me know if you want to instruct us. Goodbye.
Goodbye. And that's what happens. Time after time after time. It's a very basic call. It's a very quick call, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And really, there's just no rapport. There's no relationship. The prospective client is never referred to by name. And that happens time and time again. Often a contact telephone number isn't even taken. There's no explanation of service, anything about expertise or your experience and how you could help the client. Jargon, the word disbursements, for the average person looking to buy a property doesn't know what a disbursement is. It doesn't mean anything to them. As I say, there's no attempt to establish any relationship, and the whole thing is just based on price. So all you're doing is encouraging the inquirer to compare one price against another price. And then you feel the market's competitive, but it is competitive if you do on price alone.
Yeah, so if you're obviously driving the market to think that price is the only thing they can buy on, and it's the same service from everyone. Let's have a look at what happened last week. We called 11 firms, and this is the result. One firm just didn't answer the call. It was Tuesday afternoon. No one bothered to answer the call. In 8 cases, we got put through to someone who could help, although someone else called back the next morning. Only in 1 case was my name used.
Yeah, and that's a real frustration, actually. as we played out in that typical example there, having given the receptionist asks a number of questions, identifies the client, identifies what the client is calling about, and eventually I say eventually because often it is, eventually the call is answered and it's hello.
Yeah, time after time, it's just hello. And you go, well, I've just told you all this information, but you've not passed it on.
You have one opportunity to make that first impression, and that's not a good impression. So from the client's point of view, you're already on the back foot if you don't speak to them properly and answer the calls.
Now we know that they've asked for a price and so on, but there's no attempt there to establish a rapport, to have any sort of human contact. It's rather like talking to actually could be a machine.
It's robotic, that's for sure.
That's right. So no one attempted to establish any rapport. No one asked the timing of the move. Do you know, one time you're usually expecting to pay a bit more is when you're
short of time or want a quick transaction.
Absolutely.
We do it in life all the time, and property is another example.
Yeah.
And so it shows that you care. If the solicitor cares if they ask something as important to the client as the timing, because that's usually very important in the move. No one said they were any good at their job. We don't want people to be feeling that they're blowing their trumpet unnecessarily or being big-headed, but there's probably some statistics about how many complaints the firm has received or something like that, which shows that they've got great expertise. No one even bothers to talk about that. Yeah. And a selling point is just some reason to say, oh, these people know what they're talking about. Only 3 out of 11. In a few cases, no one asked for a contact number, or in one case, even an email address.
Yeah. Importantly, the conversation was very clear that we were moving and selling as well as buying property. 2 firms failed to pick up on the fact that there was a sale or an opportunity to act in the sale as well as the purchase. The average fee last week from memory was, this presentation we gave in the Northwest, was something like £850 acting on the sale, I think it was. So there's opportunity there to earn additional fees, but it's just overlooked because people weren't listening properly to the conversation. They were just focused on a robotic series of questions, but not establishing any relationship, any rapport with the client and listening really to what the client was saying. You need to listen to the client. So
there was money left on the table.
Absolutely, money left on the table. Yeah, 8 firms of the 10 firms that we actually got through to, these are genuine numbers. 8 firms did not want to quote the price over the telephone. They just said, we'll send you an email. Fine. Fine, if that's how you want to do it. It's not good enough for the client and it's not good enough for your business going forward.
Well, it sounds as if you're trying to hide it if you're not prepared to tell someone.
Absolutely right, yes. To be fair, 8 of the emails were received very promptly. When I say promptly, within most of them were received within minutes. 1 or 2 were an hour or 2 hours later. In one case, the call was made on a Thursday morning, and the quote was received on Monday morning of this week. So 4 days, including the weekend. You've lost the business by then. I mean, they've gone elsewhere. We were even told by one firm that with regard to the SDLT, we could check it out ourselves or look it up ourselves by looking at the HMRC website. Amazing. Can't say I've had that before, but it genuinely happened, and that's terrible.
And then no one asked us to go ahead. No, we get the slightest hint that they were prepared to work for us and encourage us to make the decision.
Or wanted to help us.
No. And if you don't ask, you won't get. I mean, in some cases, people say, well, no, I'm not ready yet, or I haven't completed the deal, or I'd have to go and ask my wife or husband or whatever it might be. But they didn't even ask. And if you don't ask, you don't get. And, it leaves the prospective client in a quandary because they don't quite know what to do next. And what will they do when they get all these quotes anyway? If they get the cheapest one or the more expensive one, how will they make the decision? Part of the way that they make a decision is to see whether the quotes have followed up. and in 9, by definition, 9 out of 10, no follow-up.
And even though these are 11 firms, when we did our mystery shop of 100 firms, similar percentages. Again, because we do get busy to our day-to-day tasks, that we forget all about the opportunities. And again, opportunities are come knocking on our doors.
Yes. So the fact that the one firm that did follow up, I was very impressed with, because they phoned me up. Did you get our quote? We'd like to work with you and encourage us to go ahead. And that alone made me feel, well, those are the guys I would choose, because they're just different from everyone else. And it's that differentiator that is worth gaining business. So what we're going to do now, just very briefly, is have a look at the way this can work, from initial contact where someone is anxious, don't really know how to make a decision, getting reassured about the decision, and eventually on the right-hand side they're happy to instruct. And the first thing is handle the initial contact right, answer the phone quickly, pass the information on from one person to the next, create rapport, which is to do with a little bit of human contact there. It's okay to say, oh, I know that area, or to sympathize with someone that's a busy time to move, or those sort of things.
It's really having a conversation with somebody, not firing off mechanically a series of questions.
And then it is worth saying that you are good at doing this. No one does. All the firms we work with, we ask them, but put your hand up if you think you do great law, great conveyancing, whatever it might be. And everyone always puts their hand, because yes, we work very hard for our clients. We want a great outcome. But it never come across in that initial call. No one says we're really good at our jobs. And you can use statistics to prove that, as we'll show you in a minute. The selling point to give people an excuse to choose you. And it's not just the fact that you can do the work, it's also the quality of the service in terms of how you're going to communicate with people, and your track record of satisfied clients, because that helps people choose.
Absolutely, yeah. We're all looking for a reason to buy,
and one of those reasons is just to close, to say, look, let's get on and do this. So it's very easy. It doesn't have to be high pressure. We have to serve, when we're working with clients, we're not with our client firms. We say to them, look, this isn't high pressure sales. That would never work. No. And your people are the last, with respect to trained solicitors and lawyers. They're not natural salespeople, and they certainly wouldn't want to feel they were. But there are ways, as we'll show you in a minute, of just inviting people to go ahead and get on with the work. And if you don't ask, you never get. And finally, follow up.
Oh, it's so critical to follow up these opportunities. And in this work we did this week, 9 firms failed to follow up. If you follow up, and it's got to be timely, later in the day or perhaps the next day, the one firm that did follow up actually said, I will give you a call, Mr. Wyatt, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And at 5 or 10 o'clock, they actually did genuinely call and follow up.
Yeah.
And the chances are you will then win the work, because they're looking to instruct somebody and you're showing interest in them, as against, in this case, 9 firms who really didn't show any interest in them at all. So the chances are you will, if you haven't closed the deal on the time of the inquiry, you will win the instruction when you follow. It gives you a chance also to handle any instructions. If there's
Objections.
anything, and objections, yeah. Sorry, not instructions yet. Follow up on any objections. If people don't understand what's in your quote, you can clarify it for them, etc., and talk them through. And we'll role play something in a minute for you, as a typical conversation that we think helps you to win business.
Okay, well, we'll do that. And this is a same sort of scenario, but a firm that has a different attitude to answering the phone. Good afternoon, ABC Solicitors, Newtown office. Can I help you?
Oh, hello. I'm calling to see if I can get a quote for some conveyancing. Do you do that sort of thing?
We do, yes. Can I take your name, please?
Yes, of course. It's Peter Jones.
Please hold on, Mr. Jones. I'll put you through to a member of our specialist conveyancing team. Mr. Jones, hello, my name's Henry Wyatt. I understand you'd like to find out if we can help you with moving house?
Yes, I was inquiring about conveyancing costs.
Okay, I'd be delighted to help you. May I take your phone number just in case we get cut off?
Yes, of course. It's 07774 445567.
Okay, let me just repeat that, make sure it's right. 0777 444 5567.
Correct.
Okay, good. May I ask you how you came across ABC Solicitors?
Well, we saw your office when we were in Newtown to see the estate agent last week, and I checked up on your website, which I found most helpful.
That's good to know. Thank you. Now, let me ask, are you buying or selling a house, or both?
Well, we're moving to a new house near Newtown.
Will it be your main home, Mr. Jones?
Yes, it will be.
Have you already sold your present home?
Well, nearly. We agreed a price this morning.
Do you have someone to do the conveyancing work for that sale yet?
No, I assume we would use the firm suggested by the estate agent locally.
Well, okay, you could do, but if you'd like to use us for both your sale and purchase, then there's less to go wrong and no potential for delay through having to communicate between two different firms. We can coordinate the whole thing for you, and you will only need to provide some of the information and so on to us once rather than twice in dealing with two different firms. Is that something you'd like to consider?
Well, I hadn't thought of that. So you could actually do both the sale and the purchase for us, could you?
Yes, certainly. Would you like me to quote for your sale too?
Well, yes, that sounds like a good idea.
Okay. Now, Mr. Jones, where's your current home and how much are you expecting to get for it?
Well, it's in Sandwich in Kent. As I said, we've accepted an offer through the estate agent locally this morning of £480,000.
And is it freehold and is there a mortgage?
Yes, it is freehold and there is a mortgage, yes.
Okay, so now let's talk about your move to Newtown. Can you tell me about that?
Well, I'm going to work for the university there, and we've found a place we like not far from the town centre.
I see. What sort of house is it, may I ask?
Well, it's a 4-bedroom detached bungalow.
Have you had an offer accepted?
Not yet, but we're hoping to be able to tie it up this coming weekend.
Great. Do you have a completion date in mind?
Yes, we do. We really need to move in by the beginning of the next school term, about 7 weeks' time.
Ah, I see. Well, at ABC, we really try to take our clients' deadlines into account. Of course, whilst not everything's under our control, if there is a specific date you're aiming for, we'll do our utmost to achieve it for you. Let me ask, are the vendors aware of your timescale?
Yeah, we have explained the need to move quickly, and they seem happy. We just have to finalise the price over the next couple of days, and I say we're hoping to get this agreed by the weekend.
Okay. And where is the house you're looking at, may I ask?
It's 24 Castle Road, just on the just outside the town centre.
Oh, yeah, it's really nice down there. Will you be buying it with anyone else?
Yes, together with my wife Emily.
Emily, okay. Can I just get the spelling right? Is that with a Y?
Yes, it is. Emily.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Emily. Okay. So buying in your joint names then. Fine. You can handle that. And forgive me for asking, but you mentioned earlier the start of the school term. I presume you and your wife have a young family?
Yep, we do. Twin boys, Jim and Sam. Why do you ask?
Well, it's just that there's a really good school close by Castle Road. My sister's kids go there and I know they're very happy with it.
Oh, we've noticed that school. It's good to know that it's well recommended. We're actually hoping to meet with the head next week when we're up in Newtown.
So you'd like to move in before they start the new term, if you can?
Oh, absolutely. And of course, it ties in with my move to the university as well.
Okay, understood. Now, back to the house purchase. Is it freehold?
Yes, I believe so.
And how much are you expecting to pay?
Well, we're just tying up the loose ends and hope to have something agreed in the order of £540,000 or thereabouts by the weekend.
Okay, I can work with that number for the time being. You said you're purchasing it in joint names with your wife. Is there likely to be a mortgage?
Yes.
Good. May I ask who it's with?
Yeah, it'll be with Barclays.
Okay. Oh, good. We work with them all the time. It sounds as if this move is your normal place of residence, as they say. I assume, therefore, it's not an investment property.
No, it's not. We intend to be our family home.
Okay, good. So, do you want to tell for me to tell you the likely costs?
Well, yeah. Let's hear the worst.
Okay. Well, our fees for the sale would have individually been £975, and for the purchase, £1,250, given the desired timing of your move. But if you choose to do both with us, it's less work for us. So it cuts the cost from a total of 2,225 to just 2,100, a saving of 125. How does that sound?
Well, okay.
On top, there'll be all the usual search fees and associated charges and the dreaded stamp duty charge on the purchase. And if you're paying about 540,000, that's going to be, let's see, £17,000 to the government, I'm afraid.
Oh, those fees sound a bit more than our estate agent had suggested. Is there anything we can do to reduce the cost?
Well, stamp duty, as well as the necessary appropriate search fees and other associated costs, will be the same, whoever you instruct. So we're talking about the only variable that is our proposed fees. Now, we don't do cheap conveyancing work, Mr. Jones, because we need to spend the right amount of time to ensure we do a thorough job for our clients. Normally, we'd anticipate a sale and purchase taking about 12 weeks, but to meet your desired timescale of 7, we'll need to prioritise your work. Now, here at ABC, we only use qualified solicitors to ensure the quality of our work. You might not realise, but there are a myriad of things that can go wrong with a conveyancing job, some of which you wouldn't know till you come to sell the new house. As with everything, you get what you pay for. As yet, we've never had a complaint about our work in over 12 years of operation. I hope that reassures you about the quality of our work. And with over 95% of clients saying they would recommend us to friends and family, our track record speaks for itself. Do you feel a bit more happy about that now?
Yeah, I guess I do. I hadn't realised that different firms would have different standards, to be honest. We obviously want things to go smoothly and to our timescales. It's an important purchase for us, and we can't afford any mistakes, indeed any particular delays given the school term and my move of job to the university.
Yes, okay. I agree. It's important to ensure we tie in the completion dates. For example, if you found yourself having to complete on your purchase before the sale is concluded, you would not only need to arrange what's called bridging finance, but also have to find an additional amount of about 16,000 to pay the higher rate of stamp duty to the government. The addition to 16,000 would be reclaimable later as you're replacing your main residence. But
wow, we really don't need that. I can't afford the extra 16,000 on top. Wow.
yes, well, absolutely. You would be able to claim it back later, but we can avoid that for you. So we'd love to work for you, and I can see that my very experienced colleague Ruth Jenner has capacity to take on your work at the moment. I can let her know that you have a tight deadline, and she'll take it into account from the word go. Let me send you some paperwork by email together with our quotes for both the sale and the purchase, so that you have all of the costs clearly set out, so no surprises. And then we can get going. Understanding your timescales, the sooner we start, the sooner we can get you moved into your new home. We'll also make contact as soon as possible with the firms acting for the other side in both your sale and purchase, so they're similarly aware of agreed timescales and check that they too can meet your deadlines.
Sounds good to me. Okay, let's go with you.
Okay, well, you mentioned you're proposing to be here in Newtown early next week. It'd be good if you were to drop in to see us. We can do the initial paperwork here together, and I can introduce you to Ruth, who'll be working on your purchase and sale. Perhaps sometime Monday afternoon would be convenient for you and Mrs. Jones. Now, may I ask your email address?
Email would be good. It's peter.jones@gmail.com.
Okay, so that's peter.jones@gmail.com?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I'll send you the information in the next 20 minutes or so, and give you a call later, if I may, to check that you've received it, clarify any numbers with you, and answer any questions. Inevitably, there's some jargon in this stuff. Can I call you on your mobile this afternoon at, say, 4?
Yeah, sure.
Great.
Sure.
Let's crack on. You may expect my email shortly. Nice to speak to you, Mr. Jones. You can, of course, always call me if you need anything. Just ask for Henry or indeed Ruth. I'll call you at 4. Bye for now. Take care.
Goodbye. Well, Emily, that was a nice chat. I have a good feeling about them. They seem more interested in us than any other firm we've spoken to. A bit more expensive, but you get what you pay for. Quality of service these days. And they're happy to work to our deadlines, which is really important to us. No one else seemed really to care, just quoted a price over the phone.
End of role play. Now, that was much more like a conversation, wasn't it? And just think, if you could win more of those inquiries, if you've got the capacity to absorb that work, it really increases your profit. What would happen if the firm took just 5 new conveyancing instructions a week at an average fee of £850 for, say, 50 weeks? Then that would make over £200,000 in profit.
Yes.
Now, that's a bit ambitious, but it is possible. Even if it was half that, that's £100,000 just by altering the way you answer the phone. Now, you might say to yourself, we haven't got time to spend that much time. I'm not sure how long it took us to do that role play, 10 minutes or maybe 12, 15 minutes. Yeah. But the difference is
you win the business.
Yeah.
Some of the calls we made last week, a couple of the calls at least anyway, were 8 or 10 minutes. They were better calls, and they got the highest score marks. Some of them were only 2 or 3 minutes. I think one was 1 minute 49 seconds, which is just not acceptable. You're never going to win the business on a quick call like that.
No. Now, you might think that that was rather painstaking, rather slow, but the client really felt that there was someone who cared on the other end. And if we go through the sort of things that we were looking for, the solicitor introduced himself, he used the prospective client's name, he knew from the receptionist why the guy was calling, and he got contact details right up front. Discovered the fact that there's a sale and a price, so that increases sale and a purchase, sorry, which increases their income and profit by many hundreds of pounds.
2 transactions instead of 1.
Yeah. Discovered the time scale was important, which meant that he could put a little bit on the price if necessary, because he had to prioritize the work. And the client was happy that was the case, because they're more likely to achieve the time scales. Then there was rapport. There's something about who you're buying it with, have you got a young family, the school's nice, all those sort of things, which are just human beings talking to each other.
Showing interest generally in what's happening.
Showing some care.
Yeah.
We work with Barclays all the time, a bit of reassurance there. So a discussion of quality of the work. We can't do cheap conveyancing because we can't afford to do low quality. Mention the fact that 95% of clients would recommend them to their friends. That's a statistic that you can get from the feedback forms you get and from talking to clients. So use it by all means. Then helping by closing, by saying, the sooner we start, the sooner we can get you moved into your new home, reflecting the urgency of the situation. Inviting him to come in to meet face to face, gaining contact details, and then arranging a follow-up. So that's perhaps an example of how spending more time on the phone with trained people can generate a lot more money. In this case, we're suggesting, it's in the £100,000 or £200,000 profit per year, which is not insignificant. So when our clients who are solicitors firms ask us to do some training with our workshops in inquiry handling, it'll result in more new instructions, in higher value instructions in many cases, because you can take into account people's circumstances, and with the Perfect Portal software you can take that into account as well to help you quote accurately. More income, very often with no increase in cost if you've got the capacity.
Yeah, most firms tell us that the moment they have capacity to take on more work and want to take on more work, up and down the country, that seems to be the case.
So why not use the capacity that's available, and so more fees give you higher profits. Finally, when the sort of training that we do takes place, it's always custom built because each firm is different. It's on site with them. It's actually fun. A lot of people have given us feedback to say, we really enjoyed this, which is unusual for solicitors training, I think, to be honest. It's an investment. It's not just a cost. It's something that generates new income for you, repeat income, day after day after day. month after month.
And it qualifies for continuing competence CPD.
Absolutely. And it's something that works. We've got on our website over 100 testimonials. So it's the sort of thing that we really enjoy doing, because we can see people sorting out their staff and finding the individuals in their team are really good at doing this. Not everyone is. You know, some people are very, very good at doing their law work, but this sort of interaction, some people are better at it than others. So choose those, train them up, and be more successful and grow your business. Anyway, we've whittled along for enough. Hand back now to Satu.
Well, thank you very much, Mike and Martin. Do we have any questions for the gentleman here? I have a question. When you go to the law firms, does anybody surprise you in particular when you do the role play? Do you do it with the staff? Like if you have a very shy person versus someone who's outgoing, do you ever get surprised by those?
Yeah, it's not necessarily the most, well, in fact, dare I say this, it's very rarely the most senior and experienced lawyers who are good at doing this. It's very often the younger members of staff, because they're just freer and easier on communicating. Young people, everyone nowadays, but particularly young people, just grow up with a phone. They're always using the phone, and it's much more chatty and easy.
It is. The role play tends to be a one-to-one. It's not something acted out in front of the rest of the delegates who are in the training.
That's right. During the training, it's just one-to-one. Yeah.
So people don't need to be embarrassed. It's just a way of giving them some practice time to put into practice some of the things that we've talked about in the training we talked about here today in the webinar.
On the other hand, when we do mystery shopping, there's one guy who particularly sticks in mind in a company in South Wales, who was a real local guy with a good local accent, and he spoke slowly. He'd been doing it for ages and ages. Quite an experienced guy, should we say? That's a euphemism for being towards the end of his. I won't go into that. Anyway, he said, and his conversation with the client was so easy and friendly, and we could tell it was 12 or 13 minutes, something like that. Whereas everyone else's had just been 2 or 3, and they were going, "Oh, he's taking too long." But his conversion rate was huge in comparison, because at the end of it, everyone thought they'd been talking to a friend. So you can never tell. It's just someone who's good on the phone, a real good person.
And he wasn't the cheapest.
No,
he was was very much towards the top end of the price quote. It's just that he showed interest in the client.
And that's what a lot of firms think, because of new price transparency rules. They think having the prices given out right at the beginning, whether it's on the website or instantly, that they're going to lose business, which is not the case. When you can provide the price and it is accurate and quickly, you actually build trust with the client that there's no hidden surprises. And a lot of our firms, they've been doing it, for over years now, and they're not the cheapest ones around their head.
Well, you can have a conversation about, you can be more expensive or a reasonable price rather than cheap.
Exactly.
If you then put next to it quality.
Exactly. We have a question here from Justine. She said, what do you recommend we say when we don't have capacity for new work? A colleague of mine actually tells potential clients that we're not taking any new work on, and that horrifies me. So how do you handle that?
The management of the organisation should be taking on some extra capacity, or they should be using Perfect Portal so they spend less time fiddling around, and they'll be more efficient using the system. But you don't want to turn business away at the right price. There is a pricing issue there.
There is a pricing issue. I was just going to say it's down to price. If you're that busy, maybe there's an opportunity to put your pricing up.
100%. That's what a lot of our firms, when we go to events, they actually talk to each other what they do. So that is looking at the pricing side and figuring out the strategy around there. But then again, using technology and systems in place, so it makes a lot of the admin work is what that takes the longest time, and the work that we none of us actually likes doing. So a lot of firms or any companies, what they end up doing is implementing technology or systems in place, but then no training for staff to actually use it properly. So then they get frustrated with technology. Well, it's not working for me. We do get sometimes people doing that. We're like, well, you haven't actually set it up properly to use it and take full advantage. So whatever you have, you might need to put all of your processes down, you know, maybe take an afternoon off. Again, when you're busy, it's hard to do that, but actually does benefit. I know we do that at our company. When we're too busy, we know certain things we need to change to handle new business, then we actually have to step away from work, put our heads down. What are some of the things that we can make it more efficient, that can, you know, help us make sure we don't miss out any opportunity? So that's another thing.
Firms that are underpricing are overworking.
Yeah.
Justine, if you want a conversation about price, name and numbers on the screen there, just give us a shout. We'll happily.
That's another element of what we very often deal with is pricing and value pricing. And certainly, if you're way over, you know, if you've got 100% capacity full, then it's time to put your prices up in the nicest possible way, because you won't be losing business. You'll be making more profit.
You'll make more money, probably.
Exactly. Yeah. Any other questions? I know we had CLC and SRA put their rules up as well.